Hi, welcome to our soul making, a creative process. This is a result of discernment as a practicing artist. It started as a reflective journal making, such as sketching, writing, composing short songs, spontaneous art making. It started as exposure, immersion, and interaction in the local community, and developed into imaging. Then eventually the images or pictures and stories evolved into a collection of reflections. So in 2016, with Alatea Publications, we produced a creative process art book. So soul making is equivalent to imaging, and imaging is equivalent to crafting images. So soul making means crafting images, but it also means crafting movement, metaphors, such as dreams, imagining, relationships, spirituality, fantasy, and their creative expressions. This image here, this drawing, is a self-portrait. I drew this after listening to a sermon. It took me a while to use this as a material, but I noticed there's something in it. So probably this is an attempt of knowing oneself. Also, soul making. Soul making is an alternative venue for knowing oneself and looking into the depth and essence in what we do in our everyday lives. It is a form of crafting stories or transforming brief moments into images or symbols. This one is a childhood experience. It's a tumbalata. This is one of the challenging part in transforming brief moments or stillness, is how to capture and what to capture in multiple picture of events of particular experience, and how to stretch these brief moments or wonderful experience into a longer or a delayed moment. Soul making is also connecting to people, understanding culture, and embodying tolerance and peace. So, soul making is going beyond the art forms or creative expressions. Soul making is meaning making through interaction with people. Let me share a work that took me a long time to produce this imagery. It is a poem about nature, particularly rain. So,
mga sinulit mula sa kalangitan, nagbuburda ng kumot sa kalupaan. Naghahabulan, nagtutulakan, masisidang lupang tigang. Iba'y sinaklog ng dahon, iba'y sa hangin tinangay, mapit sa mga tangkay, iba'y kumaripa sa damuhan, iba'y gumuhit ng alaala sa dalampasigan, iba'y naging luha sa bangin ng iyong pisngi.
So, what are the means of soul making? Can be crafting images, crafting stories, crafting instruments, and performances. This image was a study for imaging family roots. My sleepers are there below the ladder. I am cleaning the gutter so that when rain comes, the gutter will not be flooded and the water will flow smoothly in the tank. Here is our dog Molly, who barks every time I drop the leaves. At first, I was complaining about the cleaning of the gutter, but later it became therapeutic. Thus, the tank reflects that we get water from the rain, and it took 40 years before the public water system reached us. Here, a drawing entitled The Good Samaritan, appropriated from a biblical story, but this is actually a real experience. So, though the image is exaggerated, but it is based on a real event. I met an accident in Davao Diversion Road. Nobody helped me except the garbage collector. I think the symbols, the text, the words incorporated in the artwork would suggest something. I know you're familiar with these words presented in this particular image or slide. This work is actually based on the exposure to PowerPoint presentations. It was an attempt to use it as a subject for our commentary. Also, you can also translate stories or images or events into using sculptures, or particularly with the technique of construction or assemblage. Even puppetry making, your paper waste can be transformed into a face of a puppet. Even the dysfunctional webcam can be used as the part of the mouth. An old textile can be used as the hair. My old pants can be used into a cloth puppet, using rod or using or through marionettes. Next is crafting instruments. Crafting instruments requires ability in determining, defining, and distinguishing sound, or notes and pitch, and thus the ability to manipulate objects. It can be organic, metal, plastic, or wood, or a combination. Or you may appropriate ready-made canned music. By manipulating and exploring objects while you are looking for the appropriate sound, the result is meditative. It is exhausting, but it is also relaxing. So in between, somehow silence and rest. Even old and discarded clock, saw handle, cable lock, and motor gear can be repurposed into a percussion instrument. A fire tree is common in the city. By just collecting it right before it will be taken by nature or land into the soil, one have to pluck it from the tree and wrap it with wire to hold the seeds inside. So you can see the slides here from soaking of the wire strips with water, thinning and cleaning the strips of wire, wrapping, and then you have the artwork, a percussion instrument, while the seeds are held by the shell. Here is a wind instrument, a 5-note bottle instrument. So some bottles cannot be sold in a junk shop, so it ended as a wind instrument, or some they broke it, or some they just in the landfill. The bottles have their own pitch, producing a wind instrument. The sound produced have 4 different narratives. First, the sound of the golden galleon that passed through Davao River. This is a superstitious belief, but was able to hear also the sound. The sound of the budyong that was used as a warning signal during the encounter between the government and the rebel forces. So it was used by the rebel forces as a warning signal. The sound of the budyong in a beach. The bottle is the alternative to that. When you put the bottle in your ear, you can hear the vibrating sound. And the sound of silence in our place after the community abandoned their houses after month, after the encounter between government and rebel forces. So this is what I heard the time, listening through the bottle, silence. And the process here, you can see the cleaning of the bottles, the drying of the bottles, the soaking of the white strips, then eventually tying the bottles randomly from any parts. Then there you can now produce an instrument. Here are some recent exploration of inspired by kalimba, but the sound actually is inspired also by a Mindanao tune of just like a kulintang. But this one, there are other parts are installed. There are pipes, there are also springs, there are also bells. You can also see the box here. I installed a piezo speaker, so it will become, it's a beat box. The other one here is with base. It was actually installed on a planchadora. We have the sugbahanan, a part of the wiper, from the electric fan, from the heatsink, metronome, and a water container. Another work is this one. This is also a collection of 3 different areas. Some of the drifts are collected in Samal Island, and so that's with the steepers, old steepers, and the bottles are taken within the city. And the only thing I bought there is the uway from the store in Iyangurin. This one is a soundboard. This is an old painting, and then but I was not able to use the canvas, so I take it off, I reverse it, and use the back part. So I installed strings, metal, so by touching, by scraping, you can create soundscape. As I go along, utilizing the Soulmaking as part of the culmination of arts appreciation classes, I was able to develop also themes under this Soulmaking. One is indigenous. These are local improvisation and manifestation of resilience and creativity. Actually, the word indigenous, I appropriated that from indigenous. It is a mispronounced word of an Ifugao friend of Kidlat Tahimik. So I think it's 2008. I asked personally Kidlat if I can use it, so he allowed me. Eventually, Kidlat related to Pinoy ingenuity, originality, and identity. So in this study, the indigenous refers to the Pinoy initiative, resourcefulness, and creativity, and the 12 world concept of art. But now I am using indigenous term for individuality and association to my own exploration. Here is a manifestation of 3-in-1 concept, 4-in-1 concept. Everything is there in the bicycle. This is a street performer in Panabo City. Here, the next slide is a DIY speedboat toy in Santo Tomas, Tavod del Norte. So it's made of rubber band, barbecue sticks, and plastic container of a powder. Here is an improvised car in a wet market of Santo Tomas, Tavod del Norte. 100% reused materials. Another one is an improvisation, a motorcycle with no metal tank but used an oil container as alternative. Another dynamic manifestation of our improvisation is the bakery with the wonderful names of breads and biscuits. Same with the store names, and so does our children's name. Here is a motorcycle in Monte Vista with a makeshift shade. So it's 100% improvised. Here is another example of improvisation, a tricycle in Pagadian City. It was designed that way because the cities have dominated by rolling hills. Here is a tricycad in Osami City with Kalesa influence. They no longer use the kalesa, so the concept kalesa was translated into the tricycad. Another thing funny in this particular post is the redundancy. It was trying to please and accommodate. It is accommodating text, trying to please also the audience. Another part of the making is looking into personal experience or live experiences, reality. So this is an image of a street child in Pagadian City. So this image will bring you to somewhere else, to a certain reflection. Now, even waiting is actually a powerful motivation for you to do something about your boredom. So I was constructing paper art while waiting for a certain for my schedule for a workshop. It is in Cotabato City. Wires, soft sculpture performances is also one good exploration by using the overhead projector. Another sensitive subject, but part of the humanity is accepting or denying death. Here is a song entitled Pintura. So this particular funny poem was actually inspired by observing the manicurista with their conversations, with their actuations, and so on and so forth. So I will demonstrate this.
Pintura, babadayin ka ng kanyang suggested color. Pintura sa kuko ng Pilipina. Antusin ang amoy sa ng paa. Antos, ito'y pera. 5 pesos, kuko'y kukupos, nabubulok na sa kakakit-kit ng niper at pusher. Ilay na somewhere ingrown, colorless, color it red, color it with nothing better than
So where can we find soul making? I appreciate some people who can do it, can do something, can produce art even there it is crowded. But somehow, some people can do more in a silent space.
Tagong ko tapato, dali-dali kay molar ka na. Itlog mo no'y orange, orange mo no'y itlog. Ay di harapin ka, init pa. Bingkang pinalike, bingkang dulay lubi. Newspaper mo diha, malayang choirer bulitin. Bandera tips, comic star na. Durian ma'am sir, o palit na ma'am, o mapalit na o, isagatos na ning tanan. Mani, pula butiti at sukal, popcorn, ay dira shades, uso, o bakos, 50 na ni, mineral tubig, bugnaw, ice water, gist lang ma'am, aron dili ka, matukan.
So, the question is why? Why do we need to engage or in soul making, on imaging? to transcend from human to spiritual being, to broaden patience and tolerance, to heighten sensitivity and sensibility towards the environment, and to connect with God. So, here is an image of myself with the projection of that faith that we are a leaf from the sky, touches the earth and lets you feel the essence of life. It is not about money and fame, but the honesty and sincerity of what we do. The time that we devote to art or artwork, our actions will allow us to understand ourselves better. I realized then that the tangible or intangible art is there to make us all be extra sensitive. Guys, art is the soul of our nation. Art is the soul of our being, the core of being human. So art for me is a realization of time. Soul making is an expression of finding peace and contentment. So soul making is to be empty. So to end this sharing, here's another example of translating nature image into a poem. The song is entitled Paro-Paro.
Buklat, buklatin ang pahina ng diwa, pahina ng kasaysayan. Tila bang pakpak na makulay, subalit saglit lang ang kasaysayan. Hinangapat, di matutuklad, ilang ulit pang ibubuklat. Pahiran man, patiyuan man ng laway, nakukupas may kumakapal. Paru-paro sa lansangan, huwag niyo kaming iiwan. Sa balikat mo'y maaninag ang kasaysayan, ang saglit mong kasaysayan.
So, what is your soul making?